Jeff. People call me Jeff. Today, I'd like to talk about the difference between working with the Michael Chekhov technique with Shakespeare, as I'm going to do, as opposed to working with modern works. And here's the difference. There is no difference. As far as the Chekhov work is concerned, there really is no difference in your approach as an actor to classical works as opposed to modern works. And here's why. Both classical works like Shakespeare and modern works tell stories and have characters in it and follow the basic tenets of drama. Your characters still have objective, they still have super objective, and they're still characters. So if you're working with the Michael Chekhov technique in trying to build character and build objective and build atmosphere, then it works just as well in Shakespeare as it does in modern works. Chekhov himself was really known for his classical work. He played Malvolio in Twelfth Night. He was in Hamlet. He was in a ton of classical plays, Shakespearean plays, and he was also a pretty accomplished film actor. He was in Spellbound, directed by Alfred Hitchcock, and he was nominated for an Oscar. He was a coach to Hollywood actors like Marilyn Monroe, like Anthony Quinn, like Yul Brynner. He was definitely adept in both techniques, and there's some subtle differences between working on film with the Chekhov technique and working with theater, with plays. And generally speaking, there really is no difference. They both have characters, they both have objectives, they both have super objectives, and they both tell stories. One thing that I always say is that your job as an actor is to tell the story of the character. That's your job. The director's job is to be the audience's advocate. He tells the story of the play. The playwright also tells the story of the play. He writes the story of the play. But the actor's job really is limited to telling the story of his or her own character within the context of the film or the play. That's it. That being said, you as an actor should have a feeling of the whole, know what play you're in, know the style, know the whole story and where you fit in, and that's important. But other than that, your job is to really have laser focus on your character. So if you're worried about how is the audience going to take this? How is the audience going to do this? My answer is you shouldn't be worrying about that. Leave that to the director. That's the director's job. There are great things about working with Shakespeare. I love Shakespeare, and there's specific things that you have to think about with Shakespeare. The text is obviously very, very important when you are working with Shakespeare. Every word has meaning. Every punctuation can change the strength of how you say something, just like any play, really. But with Shakespeare especially, you have to focus on those colons, those semicolons. Why are they there? You should focus on the periods, the commas. And that's largely because grammar at the time wasn't as nuanced, or I guess was more nuanced back then than it would be now. Because now we have 400 more years of hard and fast rules for grammar that just didn't exist in Shakespeare's time. Most of the population in Shakespeare's day was illiterate. So a writer like Shakespeare could be a little bit more footloose and fancy-free with his punctuation. And if you have ever read a Shakespeare play in the original folio, or heck, even if you read it as put together by modern editors, you're still going to see a lot of why is there a bunch of commas there? And there's reasons behind that, and I can get into them much later in this process. But that's basically a large part of working with Shakespeare. However, when I'm trying to tell this story of a comedy of errors, I'm going to be worried more about, am I telling the story of the play? Am I telling the story of each character? And is it clear to my audience? Because for me, I'm working as the actor and as the director. I've trimmed down the play quite a bit so that I can actually do it without dying. The uncut length of Comedy of Errors is something like maybe 15 minutes. And I think I could do it, but I would like to make it easier on myself and maybe a little easier on the audience by trimming it down quite a bit. I've excised some of the characters, and I've turned what was dialogue into a large monologue, like in the beginning in the Aegean. I forget the pronunciation of how you say that name. He has a lot of dialogue with the other characters in the beginning of the play, and I've turned that all into one long monologue, just to make it simple on everybody, including myself. And I don't think he needs to have a lot of dialogue because he's just really telling the story with some interruption. But for the most part, I think, as far as if I were doing Death of a Salesman as opposed to Comedy of Errors, I think it would be the same approach throughout. So tomorrow I'm going to be talking about compositional gesture with regards to approaching an entire play. This is something that I do with my actors when I direct a show, and it's a way for the actors to sort of have a feeling of the whole and what they want to do. And it's related to Michael Chekhov's approach to the theater of the future. Once again, if you want to see more, if you want to learn more, go to my website, www.michiganchekhov.com. If you see this on Facebook, maybe you throw me a like just so that I know that you're out there. If you're seeing this on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, do what you want to do. It would really be helpful. Again, www.michiganchekhov.com.